We don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. And that's a great line which Brutus GPT gives credit to Aeneas Nin, the writer, for that quote, but several other people. And if you stretch it, you can go back to Descartes, the guy who said, I think, therefore I am, who had this fantasy, and this again is replicated even in modern movies, the same theme of this little demon that's in our head that makes up the world. So we have this notion that, the world is just made up in our heads. It's a big fantasy, it's a big TV show. And this, of course, is encouraged by television and even more recently, personalized television. We have, iPhones. So more than ever, our perspective of the world is very individualized. And the reason I'm making this point is about Trump, which is we shouldn't fool ourselves. It's not going to, even when Trump leaves, we still have the problem of what was called the imperial presidency. And the imperial presidency goes back even to, for me, Vietnam and Lyndon Johnson, which even Lyndon Johnson, who did more for civil rights than Abraham Lincoln, screwed up with the Vietnam War and involved lying and so forth and a lot of death. And, does that ring a bell? Yeah, it rings a bell. And how is it that one guy gets all this power? We thought way back centuries ago with the Magna Carta that we were through with kings. That was part of the revolution in America. Is we're through with kings. We're not going to have all this power in one person's hands. So we all get killed and start wars and so forth for some kind of personal guy has his feelings hurt. Um, so the unity of command was something that the fascists made a big fuss of, mostly Carl Schmitt, who was a philosopher, and saying, well, look, you go back to the Roman Empire, you go back to Caesar. They used to have a republic, but we had to, they degenerated into, every once in a while they get into a war, of course. And, it's just, it's the survival of our nation. And so we have to have a commander. And you can't have, a group tell the army what to do. You have to have unity of what Schmitt called unity of command, that no matter what the system, it's always going to default to one guy that calls the shots when it comes to survival of the state. Now, extending this comparison of a single personality, how we see the world in sort of units of personality, we see nations in units of personality. We talk about a national character, but more than that, we make up what's called literally, the expression is body politic, which means when you get a group of people together, they resemble an individual human body because that's how we see the world. We are individuals, and when we elect somebody kind of that looks like us and that acts like us and that gives the character to our group, us, a single individuality, single person, because that's how we make sense of the world. We make sense of the world in units of individual consciousness, and we project that when we're in a group, and unfortunately we have to get along with other people. It may seem that we create the world, but in fact we don't. We rely on other people to have the world, and nothing happens unless we collaborate. So sooner or later it dawns on people that you have to get beyond yourself and realize that there are other people that feel the same way about themselves, and figure out some sort of balance. And this presumably is enlightenment, but we're still stuck on this thing of, gee, we want a leader that's just like us. We want the world to be just like us. If everybody drove just like I did, we wouldn't have a traffic problem. And it's just how our brains are made up. So this is presumably what the instinct was, in my theory, of religion is, to get beyond yourself. And you'll find a lot of common religions will say, you want to get beyond, and even psychology, get beyond your own personal ego and think globally, think that we're all unified, that we're all like each other. And sure enough, we see in each other what we see in ourselves. By the way, I'll just write this down here. Vonnegut, I've written this up in something called Vonnegut, Steinmetz, and Steinmetz was the guy in the beginning of the 20th century that pretty much developed alternating current. When electricity, big technical advance, when electricity was developed, we could make it into a power. Mostly it was on batteries, DC power. So how to get electricity to go over distances, that was AC power, and that's a guy, a small person, he had birth defects, kind of crippled guy, and almost didn't get to immigrate to the United States because of that, because of his appearance. Became mastermind of electricity after Thomas Edison worked with General Electric. This is the Vonnegut connection. Vonnegut, Steinmetz, and corporatism. Corporatism is a political system that I did my dissertation on. That nobody has read. Well, 4 people have read, and so it's associated with fascism. But before that, it was part of the Catholic Church, and it's a big, long thing, and you probably won't want to read it. You probably won't want to read this either, Vonnegut, Steinmetz, and Corporatism, which is on Apple Books. I think it's on Dropbox, but it goes into this, so forth. So all I'm saying is, it's not just Trump. We got a problem with the power of an individual over huge technological advances that has existential. That's Cat's Cradle. That's the Vonnegut novel, Cat's Cradle. That's what it's about. So you might want to look that up and see. None of my friends will read this, by the way. None of my friends will read this because it's just too stuffy. So I don't know. Give it a shot. Let me know. I'd love to hear if anybody out of whoever watches this, if you can ever take a shot at that and see if you can make any sense of it. But I tried my best. I thought it was well written, but nobody wants to read it. Okay, see ya.